I'm Tom from Do-It-Yourself Home Automation, and this is a review of the Syma X400 drone. So this is a little drone, and Syma was kind enough to send me one to try out. You can see it's really small. This is my hand for the comparison, so it's something you can actually fly indoors pretty easily. And there's a bunch of really great features to this. So it has 4 propellers that counter-rotate to keep the flight pretty stable on there. And actually, pretty remarkably, I think for something this small and inexpensive, it's about $55 on Amazon. It actually has a camera on the front, so you can connect this to an app on your phone, which you can then put onto the transmitter here. There's a little thing you can install that puts your phone at the top, and you can actually see a point of view feed from the camera on the drone. And you can fly it around and get like a first-person view as the drone is flying. 4 propellers on there. It's pretty responsive, pretty fast, and it has some really useful features. So it has a height hold, so once you actually take off, it'll stay at a particular altitude within your house. It generally holds its position. It has some gyroscopes to do that. I find it drifts a little bit, but I think there's some settings you can use to trim it in so that it stays stationary when it is actually hovering. So I'm going to look into that a little bit more, and I'll try to do some videos about how to actually do that. And it flies, I find, for about 5-10 minutes, depending on how aggressively you're flying on a charge. But one thing that's really nice is that it has this battery that pops out in the back here, and they actually give you 2 batteries with the drone, and so you can swap out the battery and charge another one. You can get a longer flight time having multiple batteries, and it just easily pops out the back and then slides back in there. There's some other really cool features. There's a feature where it can do a 360-degree stunt loop, they call it. So it actually kind of does a flip in any direction. And it has some automatic functions too, in addition to the height hold. It's got an auto takeoff and landing, for example. This button on the transmitter will cause it to take off and hover, and then when you're ready to land, you press that and it comes in for a soft landing. So even if you're pretty new to flying it, you can safely take off and land. It has some cool lights on the side here, and then it also has propeller protectors that you can install that come off the side. I'll probably try to do another video explaining how to do that. I haven't installed them. You can see my propellers have gotten a little bit banged up from flying this around, probably just because I'm not that familiar with using it yet. But you can replace these 2. So it comes with a screwdriver and some spare propellers, and you can actually remove the screws here and swap them out if it does get damaged. So really good features, I think, for, again, something that's about $55. Really tiny, and it flies pretty well. The transmitter itself is really easy to use too. So there's a function you use to pair it with the drone, and then it's basically just up and down to control altitude. And again, once you set it to a specific altitude, I find it does hold the altitude really well. And then you can go side to side, and that is kind of like a yaw. It changes, spins the drone around on its axis like that. And then there's up and down and back and forth here. So this goes forward, backwards, and then flies side to side in a line, basically. So it would fly, side to side as you're pressing those from side to side there. And again, it does hold its position fairly well, but you can also pretty readily adjust the position that it's at using the functions on the transmitter there. And if you do sync it with the app, you can get a feed from the camera, so you could actually fly it. You always want to keep it in your line of sight, but you can fly it, up and around your house and that kind of thing, and be able to see right from the drone's perspective. I find, they say it's an indoor device or indoor toy to play with. I find you can fly it if there's not a lot of wind outdoors. I've taken it in my backyard and flown it around back there, and I find that works pretty well. Obviously, you just want to be careful. The protectors for the propellers, I think, are helpful, but you wouldn't want to fly this in a situation where it could bump into anybody or bump into an animal or pet, but as long as you're taking, or a child, obviously, so as long as you're taking those precautions, I think it is a good, fairly safe thing to fly inside. It's very light, so even if it did crash into something, I find it doesn't really cause any damage. And it does recover pretty well from crashes, so sometimes these kinds of things, especially the smaller drones, the lower price points can be kind of delicate. I've crashed this probably 4 or 5 times just in trying to do a little bit too aggressive flying when I'm not that experienced yet, and it's recovered fine. I haven't had any issues with it braking or anything. Instruction manual covers a lot of the details in here, but again, you know, I really like some of the automated features with this. I really like the fact that it is small, and yet they still managed to pack that camera into the front of it. You can get it on Amazon. Again, it's the Syma, S-Y-M-A, X400. And I'm going to try this out and do a lot of videos on what it's like, and I'm just going to actually have it take off now so you can see it fly for 1 second before I stop this video. Okay, yeah, I don't think a drone review would be complete without the drone actually taking to the air. So here it is on the ground inside my house. There's that auto takeoff and landing. I'm just going to have it go straight up. And there it goes, and then I'm going to have it come back down again. Obviously, I'll show you more flying in another video, but there we go, takeoff and landing. You can see it does that pretty admirably automatically, no crashes, and I'll show more about this. So thanks to Syma for giving me a chance to try this out, and I'll try to cover it a lot more. This is the Syma X400. If you found this helpful in any way, or you want to learn more about this as I try it out more, please subscribe to my channel. It really helps.